you put a primer on, okay? And this is also known as solvent weld gluing. And you put a primer on, and that preps the plastic, and you have to put the primer on the fitting as well, and then you put the glue on. So those are 2 steps. And you push it on, and you have to hold it for about 5 seconds. If you don't, the solvent weld process wants to push the plastic fitting off a little bit. That's just one little thing. I'm going to pass this one around here. ABS melts at a lower temperature, okay, than PVC. It's also subject to warping, ovaling. It doesn't hold up in the heat. The sun affects it. None of that happens to PVC. PVC is cheaper than ABS. So why is ABS used everywhere in Vegas? My only thought is because one-step process. It's the only reason I can think of. Now, I said that it melts at a lower temperature. So this one here, this side's been cut. Just run your finger on the inside. I'm going to pass this around. Okay, and you'll feel a lot of little burrs and little hang-ups. You feel all those rough edges on the inside? Okay, so those rough edges, as you have debris running through your drains after you wash the dishes, or in a bathroom sink, or in a shower, hair, soap, scum, all of that stuff hangs up on all those little rough edges that you're feeling on the inside of that pipe there. Those will catch the debris, then the debris starts to build up, and the drain clogs. So that has to be removed. Now, one of the things, I did a sketch here, and I'm sure it's not the best in the world, but if you can see, this here is an end of the pipe, okay, like that. And the correct way after you cut the pipe is to bevel it. So if you were to look at the wall of the pipe right here, which is this wall right here, you see this little bevel I've drawn on here? Okay, I've drawn this little bevel both on the inside and the outside. So it would be on this outer ridge and on the inner ridge. And I can show you with an actual piece of pipe here. So this is the inner ridge here, and this is the outer. So this here is a reaming tool. It's designed it's designed to cut it really smooth. You see it pulls a little curly Q off of there, but it puts a bevel on that pipe. Okay, and then you're supposed to do it on the outside as well. Okay, and that's a little trickier on the outside. But even though that's one way of doing it, another way back when I was a rookie is they would hand us a little half-round file, and you file the inside, you file the outside, and you create a bevel this way, everyone can see, and a bevel this way. Now there's another reason for that. Number one, you cut all the burrs off so nothing can hang up on it and plug the drain. But the other reason, and I'll go back to my picture here, the other reason is on this bevel, okay, and this bevel, as you slide a piece of pipe into a fitting like this, a little bead of glue will develop on the outside where the bevel is and on the inside. So that just helps you to keep a nice watertight thing when you're gluing it together like that. Okay, so that was just a quick little thing on PVC, ABS, the burrs, the reasons why, and why you have to do this. And as an inspector, when I would go in and I'd look at guys' work and I didn't see any of this stuff on the floor, I knew they didn't do it. You know, so then I would have to double check on them. All right, so that was that part of it. What I did here also is I did a line drawing. This is not an isometric. There's several different kinds of architectural drawings that plumbers do. Like when you get tested to be a contractor, you have to do an isometric, which is somewhat of a three-dimensional drawing. You use 30 and 60 degree angles, 45 degree angles. This is just a straight line drawing. I did this of what we're doing here today simply to make an accurate fitting count. So I knew how many of these and how many of these that I wanted to buy. So if you want to just take a quick peek, it'll be pretty self-explanatory. You can see the 3-compartment sink and the little hand sink right next to it. And that was just so I could make a good count on all the parts we're going to use here. So now what I did is I tried to prep a few of the fittings here ahead of time, just so that we wouldn't have to dig through the box as much and sort of expedite things. But I know it's going to be a little crowded here as well. But I would like you guys to be able to see how we're going to do it. All right, so I've got this stuff laid out up here. On the far left side, we're going to move the garbage disposal. That would be this. It's going to mount in right here. Off of the side of the disposal, this is the drain that's going to come off of it. And we need a transition fitting here that goes into this. This is a clean out. The more clean outs you have on any plumbing system you build, the better. You guys had mentioned to me before that this drain plugs up from time to time. That's why you want these guys. Okay, so there's clean outs there. This one here, now what we're going to do is a direct connect type of a system. On the bottom of the sink, we're going to have an adapter that goes right to the bottom of the sink here. So this will be a hard pipe system directly connected, screwed onto it. This will be the center compartment draining out. 1.5 inches is the size of the drain on the sink. 2 inch, anytime you do a kitchen sink, you want to use 2-inch pipe. Particularly in a restaurant or 3-compartment sink, you want the larger pipe, better flow. This is the last compartment on this 3-compartment sink there. That last compartment is going to come over and drop in here. Now you notice everything that I'm using has a nice long sweep to it. Sweep there, nice long sweep here. All that's just to facilitate an easier, faster drain. Less stops and turns for the debris, for the water to make, less chance of clogs to occur. So this one here on the end is going to drop down this way. This one will drop down into our P-trap that we talked about last time. We have 4 of them there. We're going to eliminate and just have one. That'll be the one. This one here will just go right to the existing drain. Out of the top of this, we're going to have this one here. Again, with a nice sweep to it so the water can flow well, less chance of clogging and backing up. This one's going to run over and pick up this little hand sink over here. This will be the final connection to make to the hand sink right there, okay? And then the magic happens when we use this guy here. This is called a mechanical vent. This operates on a vacuum with a diaphragm inside here. There's a very lightweight spring which keeps that diaphragm closed all the time. It stays closed so that sewer stink don't come up in the kitchen. You don't want that. But that light spring allows that diaphragm, it's a rubber diaphragm, allows it to open. So as water's running through, okay, as water's running through this way, it's pulling a vacuum. It wants to pull air with it. Just like I explained a couple of times ago with your thumb on the end of the straw. If you don't let air into that pipe, it's not going to drain very well. Think of when you're in a restaurant, you hold that straw, it doesn't drain very well, a drop at a time. But you give it a vent, or remove your thumb, and the water just drops out of that straw. Same thing in a plumbing system. So as that water's dropping down, it's pulling a vacuum. The light spring inside of here opens up, allows that air to go in, and everything flows really well and out. When the water's done running, that light spring closes that diaphragm, no more stink in the room. So this is the magic here. This allows us to do a lot of stuff. Now, you can run an entire house with mechanical vents. The trade name, there's a company that came up with them. It was Studer. They call them Studer vents. Actually, this is a Studer vent here. That's just the company that made them, but in the trades, all the plumbers call them Studer vents. You can run an entire house on Studer vents. But within that whole entire house, you must have at least one atmospheric drain. Somewhere in that house, you got to have a pipe sticking out of the roof so that air can come through. If you have that, these will work, and it saves protrusions through the roof. If you look around in Vegas here, you'll see above every kitchen and every bathroom multiple pipes sticking out of the roof. Well, that's not so bad here because we don't get a lot of rain, but if you think about in climates where there is a lot of rain, every time you pop a hole in the roof, you risk more roof damage or leakage. So the less the better. That's why guys love to use a lot of these. These are great for situations like this as well where we can't get to a vent. There isn't one for us to hook onto. So we're going to use this one here. All right, so that's all of that. I think that covers everything. We got a couple of tools here I wanted to show you guys. So I showed you the reamer for reaming out the inside and outside of the pipe. Everybody knows what that is. Cordless Sawzall. That's the tool right there. I probably use that almost more than a tape measure. That's a biggie. Torpedo level. You know, plumber with a torpedo level, see him with overalls and his level in his chest, then you know he's a real thing. Here's that round file I was talking about, and that would just be to ream the inside of the pipe. This is for cutting your pipe, hacksaw to cut that with. That's the old school way. But I'm going to show you the new school way. That's my baby right there.
Oh, that's awesome.
That'll cut that pipe like butter every time. It speeds things up. It also creates less burrs on the pipe, so that cleaning and reaming isn't as difficult. You still have to do it on every piece of pipe. You see a plumber come in that cuts it and blues it, don't use him again, because he's not doing it the right way and that drain's gonna plug up. All right, so I think that's about it. We got some glue and cleaner. Is there anything you want to add, Angel, before we start?
Yeah, with that cutter for the pipe, you can tug your finger off too, so it has to be very, very.
I'm waiting to see this in a movie. I'm sure it'll be there
Very, very
someday.
careful.
We'll see some nasty movie and somebody will have one.
Right?
Okay, so Angel is going to start on the sink here. If you guys want to try to gather around, I know it's going to be a little cluttered in here, so find a